Yo, 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 what is up? What is up? Another episode of the Coach's Corner podcast. Dude, I almost said Hustleaholics podcast. I think each of us say that like every single time.
I know.
Episode number 24 today. Should be a good one. Mike and I, we're going to jam on just overall a topic that just came to mind to me, like honestly, just like 15 minutes ago, to be honest. And it's something that is true to my heart. And I see a lot of like benefit of like this being relevant into the way that we think, just constantly like the way that we operate. So the topic is going to be putting in the reps, and this goes across like a bunch of different avenues. Obviously when it comes into the game, it really just kind of comes into persistent, consistent action. We've kind of like proven that, true to ourselves in multiple different levels, whether it's business, the mind, like the body, whatever it is, like you can pretty much apply like consistency and putting in the reps into everything. So should be a good topic, should be a good little conversation. And yeah, here we go.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I think like just it does apply to everything, and that's the big thing is I think a lot of people allow themselves to hold back from the things that they want in life, and it's because they don't have the reps, so they don't feel comfortable, right? So it's like it's a comfortability situation too, where a lot of people, they want to start the business, but they hold themselves back from starting the business, and then they get no reps, so therefore they lack the confidence to start. It's like, so getting the reps and just putting yourself in the ball game and like getting on the field is what allows you to gain the insight and the wisdom to actually excel at it from there. And then it's just more reps, right? Like everything is just more reps. And I think that's a common misconception nowadays, or really it always has been a common misconception, is the fact that like people are just born into the situations that they are. Like, the NBA players, they're just freak athletes. Like that's all they are. They're freak athletes, right? And like like people who are rich, they were born into being rich, and that's just how it is. They were born into being rich. When in reality, like every single success you look at is just a byproduct of multiple reps until they got to the point where they were comfortable, they became an expert, they became a professional, and from there they just continued to take reps from there. They didn't stop even when they got good at what they are good at, So I mean, it's huge in every area of life, and I'm noticing this in like things outside of business too, that like reps are everything.
Yeah 100%. I mean, like, and like just like kind of how this whole topic came to mind like this morning, like I don't know, I was just tired as fuck, like just like been on the move like pretty hard for like the last 2 weeks, and really haven't missed a wake up time. So because of that, like I'm obviously like putting in a little bit of sleep debt, like, hey, I owe myself, my body, like some sleep. So I came out, I had to drop my grandpa off at the airport this morning, and came home. I was like, man, I'm just gonna get some rest and just carry on from there. But to me, like this topic like became relevant because like it was one of those things where it's like, all right, now I'm up, like let's get to it, time to put in the reps, and and I think like that's a big thing, because a lot of us, or I shouldn't even say that, like a lot of times, like in the past myself, I've allowed situations like that to kind of like throw off my entire day and my attitude towards the day. And in reality, it's like one of those things where we just got to accept that type of shit, and just go ahead and put in the reps, like recognize like, okay, cool, like time to get to work type of thing. And it kind of like came to mind too, because like a lot of people, like I think is not knowing the things to do, so like for example, like we can take our two situations here. Like I know we were both in this situation today, like where we're like, damn, I need some more sleep, I'm gonna sleep in and get to it. So for me, like take the team calls, do stuff like that, then I go hit a workout, just kind of like prep myself that way, like run my routine normal. And now I'm like, all right, cool, now I'm like full focused on like getting my tasks done for the rest of the day. I feel like I can lock in. And like you, on the other hand, it's like, let me get my shit knocked out, and then I'm going to go hit a workout and things like that. So I wanted to bring this up because I think this is really important. There's not a right way that you should be doing what you want to do, or me, like what I should be doing. Like we need to put in the reps, like how we know how to put them in, like that proper map that we know like works for us, and I think that's a big thing too, because like even if you just kind of look at the outside world, you can start to think like, oh, I need to live my life this way. I need to like live my life because, so and so lives their life this way. I need to do that too, And in reality, a lot of that stuff may be true, but at the same time, doesn't mean like every little thing, needs to be done that way. So
Yeah.
that's just something that I thought about like as you were talking there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think that's like where one thing, like I had a really good friend of mine who was in town and we spent a lot of time together yesterday. We played basketball for like 2 hours and then we went like we hit the sauna, we hit the steam room, we hit the hot tub, we went back into the sauna. Like it was a good like reset day of like detoxifying my spirit. And like and it was like really good conversation. Like we talked a lot about this in general. Just the fact that like that's why self-awareness is so important, is because if you don't have self-awareness, you look at everybody else and you think that's what you should be doing, you know? But if you do have self-awareness, you ask yourself what you should be doing in that moment. It's like, okay, what do I feel like? What is my body telling me? Let me stop looking at all these people on social media who are telling me to do all this shit that might not even like be worth my time right now. Like, what do I need? And like yesterday was a really big eye opener for me because I really haven't been too consistent with my routine since I moved to Austin. Like it's been one of those things where like if I feel like I need a meditation, I'll hit a meditation, but I haven't been like super dialed with the structure. And obviously there's been a lot going on in my personal life and with the move. So it's like, of course, like shit's gonna happen, and you just have to dial back in situations like that. You fade away from the work, and you realize you need it. So like that was a situation for me. Was like yesterday. I was having a conversation with my buddy Bill, and like getting into this conversation that was just like talking about all this shit, and like I could tell, like as I was saying it, I could tell like I was saying all these stories and like all these different things, and like I didn't sound like myself while I was like talking through this situation with him. And like he just looked at me and he was like, bro, like we're hitting like a 20-minute meditation in the sauna. Like we're going in the hot tub, like we're going in the steam room, like just get this shit like off your chest, like mentally. So it's like it's interesting because the other thing that I've realized is like reps isn't just about like pushing yourself. Reps is about like all areas of like yesterday reps for me meant like taking some time away, taking some time in the sauna to like sweat it out, like focus, meditate, relax, right? Like get into the hot tub, relax, like enjoy myself, enjoy my time. And then we went out for dinner. I had a really good dinner with a good group of friends. And like, it was a very like purifying day in a sense. Even though I also had 4 shots of tequila, but like outside of that, like it was a very like,
Putting in the reps, man. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it goes all ways.
Yeah, exactly. But like it was one of those days where it was like it was incredible because like I felt so good leaving the gym like after that because and like I guess I'm kind of getting on off topic of like what the actual idea of this episode is, but like I think it's so important with self-awareness in general to be able to understand what you need, because like reality is because I've had all this stuff going on, like it's definitely gotten in the way of my self-awareness, of me actually listening to myself and me not just like wanting to keep myself busy and like avoid what I'm going through, right? So like a lot of my time here has been just me keeping myself busy as opposed to like understanding that like, yo, I need some time to like really like feel whatever I'm feeling and like get into it, right? So like yesterday was one of those days where it reminded me, to wrap it all back around, it reminded me how important the reps of some sort of just like structure to your day of a morning routine is, because like even if it's not fucking a mile long, like as long as you just keep consistently doing those like daily items that just keep you on track, like you're not going to get into the headspace that I was in yesterday morning, which was like a lot of story creation, like a lot of assumption, a lot of expectation that like I never really have. But it's because I've faded away from it and then realized yesterday, like, okay, I need to come back to like, even if it's just 2 or 3 things in the morning that make me feel like I'm getting ahead of my day and I'm prioritizing myself in my own mind, then I'm good. So it's like reps are important across the board because you also need the reps to enjoy your life, have fun. You need the reps in business. You need the reps in like all these different areas. You can't just like think that reps just means like, let me go fucking bare knuckles, do fucking 7,000 push-ups on like a fucking, I don't even know, on a boulder. It's like, because like I feel like that's how it is like nowadays online, is like you see all this shit that's like, all right, maybe I should just like go outside and fucking kill myself on an 18-mile run. It's like,
Yeah.
and you're just like, I don't know if that's the right, like it's asking yourself, like, is that what I actually need? It's like, so yeah, I mean, listening to yourself and understanding that like reps are the most important piece of getting you on track and getting you back dialed into like whatever that means for you.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting that you said that too, because I did a similar thing. Like, I don't know, I think it was like maybe before the new year sometime, November, December, or something like that, but did kind of the same thing, like just wipe my whole like morning routine, just kind of felt like I was just doing it just to do it. So I was pulled everything back and like just focused on like working out and then diving into work type of thing. And that made me same thing, exactly realize like, okay, there are some of those things that I need to implement back. And like, for example, like one of those things for me was like just like journaling one line, just a minimum of one line of like writing whatever like is in my mind down, whether it's like something to motivate me or like, I feel like the weight is on my shoulders type of thing. And so I think like, that definitely is important. Just like almost like a reset to figure out like what do you actually need to like put yourself in a state of like consistency and happiness. And I mean ultimately, just like you said, self-awareness, like you're spending time for yourself, but at the same time, you're putting in time with everything else too, hanging out with friends. Like, I think that shit's like really important, like obviously the gym, I think that shit's really important, but the business, hitting your reps in the business is really important. But that's kind of the key thing is like, you look online and you see a lot of like busybody people that, like who knows like what they're actually doing. So just like you said, it's the importance is like really redefining like what that you need to do yourself, and like how you need to operate your day to day to bring that sense of awareness. But I think that's almost like a better name for the topic today, self-awareness.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing too, is like your body knows, like your body knows what you need at all times. So just asking yourself the question of like, what do I need right now? Is it mental clarity? Is it me pushing myself? Like, am I feeling a little bit like a bitch today? Like whatever it is, like, on those days where like I'm like, yeah, maybe I am like feeling a little soft today, then like that's a day where I'm going to push myself in the gym or whatever the case may be to like get through that resistance. But there also might be days where it's like I need the step back and I need to do what I did yesterday, which was like get some really good exercise in the morning, like play 2 hours of basketball, but then like spend the whole afternoon just decompressing with sauna and all these other things and all these other like healthy ways of like relinquishing energy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It was a good topic. You got anything else on this?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
I'm
we're
good too.
good.
Perfect. Well, that's it. Episode 24, I think it was, Coach's Corner podcast.
Yes,
The
sir.
Mikes, as always, the Mike and Mike show, Eminem show, as always. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes,
Adios.
sir.